A big hello to all our viewers, old and new. My name is Abhishek Kaushik Philip. I'm the senior speech therapist working at PlayStreet.
And I'm Miraculin Lydia, and I'm an occupational therapist working at PlayStreet Bangalore. PlayStreet is an organization that provides educational services to help children with special needs become independent and live up to their potential. We also offer a wide range of parent empowerment program, an integrated schooling program, and a variety of clinical services.
So, in recognition of Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, we would like to center our discussions around augmentative and alternative communication. Our goal is to emphasize the significance of AAC, address the challenges associated with it, and promote greater awareness of this essential aspect of autism advocacy.
So today we are in the seventh talk in the second segment, which focuses on the challenges in AAC and various ways of supporting it. So the topic for today is government policies and economic factors in supporting children with special needs in the classroom through AAC. And we are honored to have Ms. Preeja Balan, Dr. Himani, Ms. Jayashree Ramesh, and Ms. Kalpana Rao with us to share their valuable thoughts and information on the same.
So first of all, I would like to welcome Ms. Kalpana Rao. Kalpana Rao is the principal of the Day Center and head of the communication department at Vidyasagar, Chennai. She is an expert in AAC with over 20 years of experience and has conducted various training programs on AAC in Vietnam, Sri Lanka, and Oman. She has presented many papers in international conferences on AAC. She has been the secretary of ISAC, International Society of Augmentative and Alternative Communication, India chapter, and has been an AAC faculty for certificate course in assistive technology solutions held by NISH. Her dream is to have a world where no one is left behind for want of a mode of communication.
Next, we have Ms. Preeja Balan, who is a doctorate in speech-language pathology. She is also the co-founder and director of Octave Hearing and Speech Center. She has vast experience working with children with a variety of speech and language disorders and has also contributed towards developing the Parents Guide for implementing an AAC system. She is a strong believer in parent training and empowering parents to implement effective communication strategies. She has co-authored handbooks published by Communicates Innovation Private Limited, which helps in teaching children build language skills and also helps teachers to include children with ASD in the classroom. She is also one of the consulting editors of this Journal of Disability Studies and Research.
We have Dr. Himani Narula. She's a pediatrician and has an experience of 20 years in this field. She's also the director and co-founder of Continua Kids. She's passionate about her work and have the quality to be able to relate to a wide range of patients, parents, and staffs. She is self-motivated with genuine love of kids and desire to improve health and well-being of every child. She believes that partnering with parents and other professionals can help promote successful, resilient kids and an inclusive attitude in schools and communities, which can benefit us all.
Last but not the least, we have Ms. Jayashree Ramesh, who started her career in special education in 1986 and moved to USA to complete her MA in special education from San Jose State University. She returned to Bangalore and became the founding member of Academy of Severe Handicaps and Autism, also known as ASHA. She was the first secretary of Autism Society of India, ASI. She holds positions in different organizations, including National Trust, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. She's also worked with Government of India and various disability NGOs Alliance. She also initiated Information and Resource Center for Autism and Other Developmental Disabilities, also known as IRC. And she also has a trust in the name of now Prabhuti Trust, NPT.
So we welcome you all to this panel discussion. Okay, so first of all, I would like to ask Kalpana ma'am. So what is the level of awareness surrounding AAC in India? And what steps are being taken to promote greater understanding and usage of AAC among individuals who may benefit from it?
Yeah, I mean, when you compare to the ages when Preeja and me were colleagues and working, now I think AAC is much better. To even have a discussion like this happening, I think it would be it. I mean, I'm really happy about it. But yes, I think the AAC awareness is only around the cities, not much into the rural areas. Now, that is really a concern because our population is more rural centric, but we are reaching out only to the cities. So it is almost cute when you see in a city the AACs. I mean, any school, any organization you go, you can see special educators are trained, speech therapists are trained. That sort of a thing is seen in cities. But when you go to the rural, where you go into the community and look at it, it is really pathetic. They don't have anything. Neither do the special educators there are able to do. And very rarely we see speech therapists in the villages working with, AAC. So that is one, thing which is a great concern. Yes, there are organizations like ISAC, International Society for AAC, working and having more and more speech therapists as part of members, and they in turn spreading AAC. But I don't think the impact has been that great about the whole thing. One good thing which I would say is the school exams have ultimately accepted AAC. Now, if you go into the CBSE or a state board in Tamil Nadu, which I can vouch about, in Tamil Nadu, you can actually use a communication chart or a communication device for writing an exam. Wow. In CBSE, yes, they are accepting writing with a computer. Now, that is a very big leap, I would say, in AAC, because ultimately, when you work with a parent, you are talking to a parent about using AAC. It is something which it is for the life they are using it. They are not using it only for communication. They have to study out, write exams where you have to work with, at a workplace, AAC has to prepare. So I think the movement is going through that, and hopefully even the workspace will have AAC. That is still not yet achieved, but I think over a period of time, we will be able to get AAC at workspace being accepted and AAC users being given work, things like that might come in. Any of others want to add in?
Sure. I would add to what Kalpana said. Definitely, we have come a long way in terms of AAC awareness. And like how Kalpana said, we started at a generation which was a manual generation where we would use pictures and make our communication board, to today with technology. Not even technology. I mean, I would not say technology in terms of the AAC technology. I would say even a Google image, the clip arts, and the basic things gives you a dictionary that you can even pick up pictures and make your own communication system. And as she rightly said, CBSE and the state boards, most of them have access now to the assistive technology, including ICSE. I have seen the guidelines where they have mentioned the use of the permission to use assistive technology. I am not very sure to what capacity we have actually used that facility, but NIOS definitely gives you an option of assistive technology. So definitely we have come to an era of a wonderful year, I would say, for what 20 years back, what we started to what we are now. I think we are in a very good point today. So yes.
Yeah. I mean, practically to what they're saying, I mean, I've seen it in our own organization. When we first started in 95, I mean, I used to literally have parents and teachers draw things, to make it look like, if you draw a dog, it might look like an elephant sometimes, but even then, we had to literally make people draw. And then it was laborious one for the teacher. And then imagine telling every parent you start drawing. As it is, parents are first of all figuring out autism in their kids. Now you have to have drawing skills. To that, coming far, like, now you have the Google images and you're able to standardize some things. You're able to create a repository of images. Still, Indian images are not there for most, we have to look very carefully and keep searching. But yes, things it's become much easier to use visual measures now. compared to what it
So
What
one,
I would want to add one small point here.
Yeah.
I believe a training related to this should be incorporated in the routine training for speech language pathologists and special educators, so that they don't have to specially go in. It should be a part of their curriculum probably, so that it makes it easy
Sure.
for them to execute it when it comes to on ground working with children.
Dr. Himani, so when we did our speech and hearing course, we had only a one-page note on AAC in one of the subjects. Versus today, I see a semester paper which covers AAC. So for me, it is still an achievement that we have got. But yeah, I still find gaps. But I think the movement has been fairly quick. The last few decades have been very quick for us compared to what we did at our times. So I definitely agree to that. The curriculum has to be a little more stronger.
Yeah.
so when like we were talking about city versus rural, right? So are there any steps taken to support to improve the awareness of AAC in the rural areas now? Let's say, like, outskirts of, Chennai or Tamil Nadu, ma'am. So are they doing anything, ma'am? Among the professionals?
See, periodically we do have in organizations, at least we conduct these workshops, conferences. Regularly we are doing that and trying to, and one best thing after COVID is most of them are online. So we are able to reach out to more people. So that is one of the best, because we right now at Vidyasagar, we're having so many people asking for online training. If they can have the teachers sitting in one place and then still we can do the AAC from here, which otherwise we had to travel to the, that will take, postponements, all these things are happening. But now I think that is there. The second one is also the state government. When it comes to, the Samagra Siksha, they have, even though they do not have a policy for equal opportunities, they are having teacher training on, special ed skills for inclusion. A part of it, we are pushing a lot of AAC, because that is where the students are losing out if they are in the regular school. They are not losing out because of, not coming to school, or those days are gone. Now they are losing out because the teacher, educator, a regular school teacher doesn't know how to cope with a child who has speech difficulties. So that training we are constantly giving. At any given time, we are having 1 or 2 trainings happening in the, along the rural areas, in the suburban areas. And through the community-based rehabilitators and the community workers, we are trying to reach out to them. They're basically AAC device as it is, I won't say, but the low-tech AAC is something which we are trying very hard to push. So once they start that, then we can slowly build on other things. But if you don't have, and the child is losing out, because most of the children who are dropping out after, the SSA programs taught us because they have no access to equally participate in the class because they are non-verbal. So that is the point we wanted to, and we have been doing the small workshops, 1-day workshop, 2-day workshop. And through the COVID time, we have been having many, online workshops. So that I think has made a little difference.
I would like to, as a part of my ex-workplace like Vidyasagar or Spastic Society, we have done a lot of work in outreach centers or the CBR projects, where we have been personally visiting rural areas and training teachers. That is one part of the rural area. The other part of it is like recently, I think I would say very recent times, one of the organization has contacted me where they have connected me to a couple of rural areas in Karnataka. And the main request from them was that I help the teachers with one particular high-tech system. And I was a little bit apprehensive when this kind of an option came to me. But when I connected with this rural area, Anganwadi teachers, they actually use a mobile phone and they had downloaded this high-tech communication system. They have already tried it with their children, and the actual query was more of a question answer of how to move from one particular goal to another goal. They were totally aware of the benefits of AAC and how the whole system can work for children. So I think with mobile phones itself being a big boon for us, I think things have come up a long way. But yes, we do have a population who is not aware and a population who is aware, and that applies to even a city like Bangalore. I mean, I'm working with professionals who are highly qualified, but we still have a barrier to use of AAC. And I just feel that possibly that awareness is still not reaching them. So it is just not the rural area that we should be catering. Awareness in even an urban area, especially when the high socioeconomic group, is a gap that we need to fill up.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I will agree with that because I am myself running a small chain of child development center, and after talking to all of you all, I feel they also probably need to enhance their skills and need to undergo some kind of a training so that they are much more aware. Even if they are practicing a bit, they need to be more aware to spread the word around. And even doctors, I would feel, as a developmental pediatrician in our conferences, they only talk about making diagnosis and planning intervention, but this is a very major and important part of planning an intervention for a child with disabilities. I think they should talk more on these areas of interventions.
Right.
Yeah, I would be very interested to know more about that, whether it's an app that they had downloaded, because Anganwadi teachers, using that is amazing actually, because we struggle with that quite a bit.
It is an app they had downloaded.
Wow.
And in spite of my language barrier, I'm not very fluent in Kannada. The whole enthusiasm that they showed in using the app and with the translator, we went through the whole session, and now they have requested that whatever goals we have suggested, they have already worked. Now I'm waiting for a next session with them on how to move forward. So the enthusiasm is really infectious.
Very good, very good. Yes.
Thank you everybody for sharing your thoughts and knowledge about that. And also thank you for showing us how AAC awareness has increased throughout the years, especially Kalpana ma'am and Preeja ma'am, how you started and how it has reached. It was very interesting to know about. And also thank you for sharing about what are the steps that are being taken in both city and the rural areas. So even with the level of awareness, coming up, increasing among population about AAC, there is still a taboo attached to this, like having an AAC for a child. So Jayashree ma'am, I would like to ask you, what do you think are some of the reasons why there's a taboo around a child having an AAC device or the usage of AAC device in general?
See, largely it is how a parent is viewing the problem. Okay, the child is, of course, out there will use whatever is given to the child to use. One major thing which I think the speech therapists and pathologists grapple with is the parent's question of, if I introduce all this visual communication, am I going to deter verbal communication? Will my child not ever get speech? So that apprehension in the minds of the parents, sometimes they don't want to look at other options. So it brings about a scare, and we get that question many times, very often. And sometimes to please us, they go through it and they say, okay, great, wow, it's nice to see he's communicating so well in the school, but you realize after all that they're not using it at home. So it is maybe the mom, who's interacting largely, the mom interacts with us. To some extent, she has understood the need, but, when she takes that information back to the family, there'll always be somebody else who will, put something in her head or, say, all this is nonsense. Your child is doing so many things. He will learn to speak. What is there if he doesn't speak now? So there's no need to do that. So that can sometimes stop, the families from taking this up. And this we have seen quite a bit. and children grow up and actually they miss, using, communication. One very interesting thing I find in parents is that they're seeing their children connect with the device, whether it is their mobile or the laptop or an iPad or, or a tab. They are so, I mean, they're watching the children use the device very easily, like, adapt, they are able to find out which icon, open the screen, they go to YouTube, they look at what they want, they're able to do that. But when we give the same example to the parent and said, look, he's already doing that. He has learned all this without you teaching it. So you can use the same way to actually teach basic communication. It just doesn't sink in. So I think the speech therapist will be able to give you an idea as to why, that doesn't happen.
I think there is one, I'd like to add to what you have said. There's one common problem that we face is that the parents would come and ask a question like, ma'am, if we offer a AAC device to our child, my child will never learn to speak.
Yes, correct. That's a big fear.
That's a very fear that they have.
Correct. And the second thing I find is, doing a visual communication method requires some effort. It's not as easy as just speech, right? The child is not just picking up the speech. Somebody has to take the effort of finding the right thing. Earlier, of course, we used to sit and draw everything, and then we used to make copies of it because, the Xerox machine was available. But now we are saying you can download everything and you're using your phone for everything. You're taking multiple pictures. How many selfies, how many things we use. But if we say use the same method to go back and relate to the child, there seems to be some, gap over there. So I think it's maybe, I also feel that maybe sometimes parents actually need a practical training, hand-holding that is required. You may give examples of a classroom and he's doing so well, you're using PECs or you're using any other communication method and you're showing it. But when they go into the homes, for them to actually translate that to the need of the house, you have to, literally make them do that. Then, they get the experience. So I feel it's a ease of use, and also to understand the concept that maybe the language is through pictures, because now we know that there are so many people on the autism spectrum who are telling us, and we are seeing stories of how suddenly, they've found their voice because they're able to type or they're able to write. And when we bring such stories to the parents, they get enthused. But, I really have to see, I can say, maybe the top 10 or 20% of families may be using AAC. But there's still a big group that I feel is not doing it. And I go back again to training, it is the training of the teachers, the training of the therapists, everybody who's interacting with the child, whoever is there in the purview, will have to understand that this is the way I have to communicate with this child. So otherwise, there's no way for this child to, as it is spontaneous use of, any form of communication is very difficult for kids on the autism spectrum. You have to push them. So if that doesn't happen, then it becomes more difficult. So more than a taboo, I think it's a fear. And it is also, I think, not actually understanding the entire concept of what it means to have visual communication. And of course, the access to electronic devices, that will come again with, some kind of economic capacity, and also the exposure the parents have in using these devices. So because we know that many children can use the iPad so very well. And there are paid programs that they have, parents have downloaded and they're using it. But it's a good start. I think, like I agree with everybody, we've made quite a bit of progress, but a lot more needs to happen. Make it more all, very available to people, the devices. Please, everybody's got experience here, so please add.
It is same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just a little more onto that, I would say one is a stigma attached, but when you compare a population of cerebral palsy versus autism, like I'm talking of a locomotor disease, a condition versus autism, I would say autism is still a hidden condition.
Yes.
And when you use a device or a communication system, you're actually making it more visible. That is what the whole fear of parents are. And this is something that I feel not communicating is more visible anyways. So there is a little bit of gap that we need to fill up there. And also, I think there is a divided opinion on use of AAC. And as parents, it's quite natural for them to expect the child to speak. Obviously, it is a common need that any parent would want. But when somebody actually gives them that hope that your child will speak if you follow the so-called the traditional speech therapy approach versus an AAC approach, you would want to pick up what you want to hear it. So I think there has to be a consensus among professionals, whether it is a medical fraternity, whether it is a speech language pathologist fraternity, or any other professionals who are working with children with autism. I think a consensus is very important, and that comes only from what you rightly said, Jayashree, awareness. Only awareness in all professionals would make a big difference here.
Yeah.
And
Because
also,
we-
I think while counseling parents, instead of telling them that we want to teach your child to speak, if we tell them we want to help them to be able to communicate, communication is much more important for the child. Emphasizing on that aspect is very, very important, especially when we are managing children with autism.
See, once the child is non-verbal, they equate it to intelligence.
Yeah.
That's another problem, to make people understand, whether it's your teachers or your parents, to make them understand that intelligence is not about being verbal or non-verbal. Your child is doing so many things. He's showing you in so many ways that he's intelligent. He's picking up information. Does not count for intelligence. So, but somehow it goes back to, okay, you're non-verbal, so you can't think.
And I think schooling becomes a barrier when you are non-verbal. I don't
Of
think,
course, absolutely.
I don't think, I would say most of the schools would
Correct,
not be
correct.
open to a child with a technology at this moment. So we are still fighting that battle at that end. So, and in India, I would definitely say in India, or I would say across the globe, but definitely in India, academic, I mean, the first grade entry of which school are you studying? You know, that makes a big difference. It's a social status. And if you don't get the school of your choice, because using a technology, I mean, you have got a negative point there.
And
So
imagine from there we have to go to a place where we make public places also accessible for them in this way, to be able to use these devices for the communication in public spaces also.
So we are currently looking at blogs by children with autism, you know. So and the way they have written their poetries and the stories, so we definitely know the inner language is so strong, so strong. You can't equate it on any test material that a routine SLP would do or a regular IQ test would assess. I mean, we have surpassed that level of assessing the children. I think that is one thing that I think we have to make people aware of.
Very much. And the medical professionals are the ones who are actually tilting the entire thing. You have an 8-year-old coming in and they give a prescription, go for a speech therapy, or a 12-year-old, then it becomes very difficult for a special educator, you know, or any of us to fight against the entire, you know, because whatever said and done, the doctor is the God. What the doctor says goes.
So
we'll have to come back.
The doctors are the ones who have least information on this, to be honest about it. Even the developmental pediatrician or pediatric neurologist or child psychiatrist, they have least of the information, how interventions are done. So I think having a collaborative team approach is the best way to handle these situations. Use everyone's expertise to decide to form an intervention plan.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you all have added such important points, and there's nothing much to say for me. But one parent lose one device, then getting the device again and setting up the content again, right from the scratch. In my opinion, that is also one of the barrier at times. So I have done hard work one time, and again, being parents, it's already a lot of work is there for the parents
True.
when it comes to child with any kind of developmental disability. So I have set up the entire system, and then in one meltdown, my
Absolutely.
child either threw it and broke it, or it got damaged because of some reason. Again, redo it. The energy levels. So there, I think the help of the professionals or the technology is required. Where even if I lose content once, immediately within 5 minutes, I should be able to
I should be
retrieve it.
able to get, yeah,
So
yeah.
this is something, and yes, doctors have to do something in this area. Give the right prescription so that, because
Yeah.
once doctor has said do this, how much we try to tell them your child really requires this, please. No, my doctor has asked me not to
My
do
doctor
that.
has asked.
So we need help from doctors to really change the
Sure, sure. We
scenario.
have to work
Yeah.
together.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So to add to the point, ma'am, so if you see in international level, they have conferences and seminars, especially for AAC or assistive technology. So this is something we don't have much in India. So do you think that if we have something like that will be helpful for professionals and also to spread the word about AAC? What do you all think about it, ma'am?
Absolutely. See, especially technology, you know, and India, you are looking at it everywhere. India is advancing quite a bit when it comes to technology, and
even having workshop, I think workshop where hands-on training is given to the parents. You can have a parents group, you can have a professionals group, and everybody is trained. You can have the doctors group, because unless they know, they will not propagate it in the right way.
yeah, and the use of device, especially after COVID, where every family had to start using mobile phones to work with their children or to take the online classes, has given, you know, the right fillip. Actually, if you look at the number of sales of mobile phones and devices in India, it's a huge number. So people are accessing technology. So the more we put out information and the correct information today, I think it will make a difference. Like ma'am was saying, in rural, rural areas, they are also using technology today. They are also getting connected with the world. So it's just that I think the right content now will have to be given and made it simple and easy, and show a lot of case examples and show them practically how it can be done. The only problem is that with each child, the way he's going to use and the content that he would want has to be very specific to that child. So generalizing or coming with a standard curriculum is going to be still hard when you look at autism. But I think coming up with systematic approach, we
And
did.
I also feel success stories of AAC users. I think once you portray that,
Yes.
like a simple thing, like sometime back we had a panel discussion with AAC users of their journey and what they think about AAC. That has helped a lot of parents to get into the thought of at least looking at it once. Also, these blogs of children with autism using technology has helped a lot of parents to understand. I think these success stories are opening up a little more path for us to at least talk about AAC. AAC is no more a fear factor for us, because I know personally in my clinical work, the moment we start about AAC, we have an attrition. They don't want to continue with therapy because they believe that I have given up on speech.
Okay.
So from there to now, it's so much easier because we put the success stories first and then say, let's start and see. And even simple thing, like a lot of children who have started with AAC have become verbal. I mean, I don't want to start with that claim. I don't want to start with that claim because that gives them a lot of hope. But I would definitely say we have weaned of AAC users, so many of them actually by now, because the apraxia component or the other aspects have been handled, they have become verbal. So I think success stories becomes a major factor here when we talk of training or conferences or webinars.
And also, the cross referencing, like every institute or every organization may not be able to give the solutions to that child, but if somebody else is doing it, and if somebody else has received that kind of input, then sharing of that information, sharing of best practices, I think especially for a parent today, it is very important to hear what others are doing. So, and in our space all along, the collaborative approach was difficult because, there was no means to connect with different people. But I would really thank COVID that way in many ways, because now it is easy, to connect with people online, and we've all moved on to that platform to reach out. So I think this is the time when more such information and stories and more people need to, come together and talk about it.
I think we need a very sustained thing. Otherwise, it will be
Yes.
like this 1 month of,
Yes.
autism. Around that date, we having something, and then around the CP day, we have something happening.
Yeah.
But it's not continuously
yes.
happening, or there is no one body which is trying to push AAC, because AAC is very easy to be neglected. It's not on anybody. It is on everybody's plate. It's not on every. So it is like that confusion happens, and parents are the ones who will, and also many assumptions are there.
They'll be the ones who suffer, actually. They won't
Yeah.
get the right information.
Yeah, sometimes without knowledge, they buy the devices, they end up, and then they come, they would have spent their whole lot of savings and coming back and asking. Maybe a conference or shop at a national level, it would be very good, because previously we used to have, Vidyasagar had 1 or 2 conferences, and then it was really good because we were able to network and get the AAC started off.
Sure.
Now we need to take it across to another level. So I think
There, I think, the founder of Vidyasagar, Poonam Natarajan, has done a tremendous amount of work in setting up. You have a new place in Chennai, what does
yes, Museum of Possibilities.
Museum of Possibilities.
So things like that
Yeah.
will evolve.
It should be available. Such things should be available everywhere in every city for people to go and see. If I want to buy something which is 30,000-40,000 rupees, I can go and see somewhere that yes, this works. This is the way it works, and this is how you have to, procure it and how to use it. I would feel more confident in procuring it, right? Otherwise, I don't know. I only have to believe my speech therapist, and on her word, I have to go and get it. So it is very difficult for family.
So replicating Museum of Possibilities, where it is an assistive technology hub, you have everything for cross disability. Just have a look. So we invite parents, we invite professionals to come and see, try out, and then make a decision. So that is, and it's also online, collaborations can happen, online assessments are happening. Things like that I think the need of the hour is places having more Museum of Possibilities, where we can have this. We also have this assistive technology course happening by Nish. Even that is a good one, because it's the 3rd year they've been having, and good that they're getting people to think about the assistive technology, and they have dedicated AAC and assistive devices in that. So people are thinking about.
Who's on the course, ma'am?
Nish is organizing. NIS.
Okay.
So 3rd year it has been having, and it's really good. So at the end of the 2030s, the batch is geared on figuring out what is the AD, how do we get it.
Is that an online program?
It is not. It's on a Saturday, Sunday for 6 months.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. And if how do we get information about when this program is conducted, so that we can
it is actually, it just starts in Jan and it will end in June. So I can share with you the details, ma'am, on your mail, because I've been on the lecturing for the last 3 years. So it's really very good, because all the 20 are, I would say, brainwashed on ACE.
Wow.
Brainwashed and finding out, because it's like, you have a captured audience, you have to teach them, and they have to come up with case studies and solve. So that way they are thinking about ACE, and these are not only special educators, or they are speech therapists, or
people,
therapists, doctors, pediatricians, the whole gamut of people is there. So I think those, things like that would make the movement on AAC much faster. Rolling now better is what my feeling is.
But RCI courses are not offering anything on.
Nothing. Only those 3 days workshops you can do. That's nothing we have on.
So on the topic of accessibility and what are the factors that are hindering or enabling, so we've learned a lot about things that, how much if, again, what are the factors, how the economic factor plays a role in that, and also about information and all. So I think Kalpana ma'am touched this topic about, how doctors and healthcare professionals, also mainly doctors, how they could, help clients and parents benefit or impact the use of AAC. So Dr. Himani, this question is for you. So how do you think healthcare professionals and educators, what are the things that they could do to better support individuals who use AAC? Or what are some of the practices that you think that could be best to make sure that, individuals have effective access and use of AAC?
Yeah, so the first thing I believe here is that they should have the training. They should know what AAC is, how to use it. And let us assume that once a child walks in, the healthcare professional, along with educators and speech language pathologists, should be able to conduct a detailed assessment of the child and be able to find out what is the level of their communication abilities and the needs that the child has. And then an individualized plan can be performed. What are the cognitive level of a child? What are the language ability? How are the motor skills? What are the communication goals that we want to set for the child? And then the whole team should collaboratively have that team approach in setting up the goals. That team can have speech language therapists, occupational therapists, educators, along with whoever is the case manager. I call myself like a developmental pediatricians are like case managers, and they will collectively work with that team to see if the goals are being achieved and are we having any barriers in that. Of course, repeated ongoing evaluations should happen at regular intervals to know that whatever goals we have planned, whether we are able to achieve them or not, and if we are not achieving, how what changes we need to make. Then training of all these people, right from doctor to all the people who are going to be involved, they should be trained on what device to use, how to plan an intervention. And I'm definitely going to use this course and tell all my uh, therapists to consider. Even I would also want to get myself trained and know more about it. Of course, the technology use as to what is the right technology and how we can use it. It's very important that whatever we are doing, we need to be aware that the environmental adaptations are important as to what kind of a communication system we are using to help our child learn those communication skills that or goals, achieve those goals. And last but not the least, that we have to be extremely sensitive to what is the cultural practice of that region. And the AAC device should be sensitive to that kind of a cultural practice, or the use of a language, or the pictures that we will pick up should be culturally sensitive, or it should have that cultural picture in it, so that the parents, the family, the educator, the child, everyone can relate to it. I think those are some of the factors or points that I can recommend in practices for healthcare professionals. Training awareness is one of the very important thing. I think we doctors need much more training on this aspect.
So I have a question to Kalpana ma'am. So based on what Dr. Himani has said, so we've been talking about different barriers. So what are the biggest barriers that you can think about at this moment, like we are facing in India, or maybe that you've been facing for some time? And what is government doing on this?
I mean, if you are looking at an AAC device, hardly there are any devices. We have just developed it. So the biggest barrier would be, one is the economic barrier. So if you want to buy something, a device which we are seeing, yes, of course, there are some good, very good communication devices available in India, which have been developed and indigenously developed. So the costing is not too much, but still for 90% of our parents, it will be an expensive thing because the cost of, the high cost of living for a parent who are having a child with disability, everything is adding, right from a wheelchair to an, a communication device to a tab, everything adds up to the extra cost of living for them. So I would say the economic barrier is the major thing in accessing the AAC devices which are there. The second thing, as you said, what is the government doing? Yes, maybe in Adip scheme, they can improve the devices and give it, which we have been recommending, but I have not seen anything. But one good thing I would say is in Tamil Nadu government. They are giving the communication devices, the tabs with the software being given to students who are in the school.
Oh.
So they have 6 to 14 years is the age limit, and they are giving it to the schools where the child is in there. Of course, it is in one school, one device is available, but I would say happy at least one device is there. And one device is opening up a training for the teachers there. Which they are understanding, okay, they might be using it as a teaching learning material initially, but with that training, that child, one child at least is able to use the communication device. So that way, there is something the governments are doing for that. I think this is the one of the things. The other thing is many of the people like India has the best brains. They can develop and we can have many things, but the startups need a lot of help because they have prototypes. We have the networks at Vidyasagar. Every Thursday we spend with the engineering college students coming up. They have so many ideas. You tell a problem, 100 solutions are coming. Now the 100 solutions becoming a prototype, only 10 will become. The 10 prototypes will come to a, coming out as a product. Only one, that too after 5 to 6 years of long work and, hours of work. Because one is the financial thing. And the government doesn't have, yes, there are conferences like Empower conferences, which are bringing in the startups with the funders. Things like that are happening. But I don't think as a startup, if someone is wanting to do, they get full freedom to do. They have all this red tapeism hang on. And by the time, with my knowledge of working for so many years, it minimum takes 5 years for anything, a prototype to becoming a product. Because there is a field testing, you have to go, then you have to, and the cost. By the time this 5 years thing will add upon the device, and the device is definitely going to be expensive. Now,
I would like to ask ma'am a question here, just to get more information. What are your views on Tarang application, which is given by the government, which provides information on the assistive devices, all the AAC devices, and it also helps the individuals to locate nearby assistive technology service providers. There is an app by the name Tarang, which is launched by government. Are you, have you heard of it?
I haven't seen it. I
haven't explored, but I had read about it. So I just thought maybe I'll pull this up on this forum to find out if we have something like that.
I haven't heard about it. But there are like Museum of Possibilities, you have a list of things. If right now, I think the one good thing is everything is available online. You go Google up, but what is the cost and whether it is going to match my child? That is the basic thing. Like we have people coming up. So it is both ends you have. One is the economic factor. One is because the thing is very expensive because the person who is actually manufacturing has to put in so much of money. So it's a vicious cycle. We are going in round and round, and the government is not supporting. But yes, Tamil Nadu government, I can vouch they are giving. So we have paneled people, they are giving, and that is at least one good step towards getting something free of cost. So that is happening.
I have a point to add here. So there are some parents of children with autism, those who are software engineers also, and like me being one of them, of course. So some of them, like an open source development, have developed some apps which are absolutely free. Me and my husband have developed an app which is absolutely free and which is going to be free forever, because the whole intention of developing the app is different. But our challenge is how to take it to people.
Yes, absolutely. That's a
So,
big
so the
challenge.
thing is, now I'm seeing a gap here. There are government organizations who want some people to help them so that it can be taken to the masses. And then there are people who have developed it, but they do not know whom to contact to take it to
Yes.
masses.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
I think that is a genuine problem because we have very few conferences happening. One is the Empower Conference, which happens every year. It is
Yeah.
by IIT people.
Yeah.
So that is a very good conference where you are actually, it is for 2 to 3 days. And last time we had it in Chennai. The first one was in Delhi. I think the third one happened now. There you have a whole lot of people putting up these stalls and everybody comes in, the NGO sector, whoever, the rehabilitators, make it a point to attend so that we get information on that. But I know it's one and very few, like once in a year, there might be things. But I think if there is one museum of possibilities is one thing. But also, if you can put it up on the, the Android invasion is what I keep. Everybody has an Android phone and everybody is Googling. And there are enough AAC softwares available which you can download. So maybe like that, if you can put something and spread the message, probably we'll all know. It's also maybe a group, or maybe you can connect with Isaac India chapter if it is on AAC, and give it to them and ask them to send it across to all the, members. You have a huge member list there, they can go. You can spread it because actually the awareness about the different apps is something. Unless we sit and Google app and by chance you are getting out, then we are able to take it. Because one other thing that we have found is all the free software with free apps are the best to be used as of now.
Yeah, as of now.
They are the ones which are getting used also better. Maybe that is one of the
Yeah, I have 2 points on this. One thing is, see, it's the supply and demand connect. If every parent is made to understand that communication is the fundamental right of the child, and whatever it be, if they say my child has to communicate, whether he speaks or otherwise, then they will start looking for solutions. Our biggest challenge today is trying to tell the parent that even if he is non-verbal, there are other ways to communicate and at least his basic needs. I tell them, when you take them to the restaurant, you have a choice of feeding him whatever he wants. Yet the parent will decide, he likes masala dosa, let's order masala dosa. I say that you can do at home when you're just making 1 or 2 dishes. When you go to the restaurant, if you don't give the child the choice, then where does it? So fundamentally, the parent has to believe that, no matter what, he's a social being and he has to communicate. Then they will start looking for solutions. The second thing is that we don't have large associations of organizations, like in the industries, like the CII or the NASCOM. And so there it is easy, you're doing something, the word spreads very quickly. But as NGOs or as individuals, when we are doing something, even if I find a good program, a free program, who do I tell? How do I give that information? So at the most, I may call up another special school or a head of the institution and give the information. But that person, if they have to translate it and make sure every parent hears, it's a lot of effort. That person is busy. They're running their own organizations. They won't have time to do unless it is there in their radar. So we are battling with a lot of things, because when it comes to disability, it is the families or it is the education service providers. What is the in-between for all of this? When we look at advocacy or we look at awareness, or we are just looking at bringing the best practices, whose responsibility is that to do that? Parents are burnt out. Institutions have their own responsibility of actually educating kids. But this goes beyond that. And today we don't have systems. We don't have, organizations that are only focused on, say, policies or only focused on awareness. So this has been a dream actually. Today in technology, day, if we just have a space where we put all the good information and, slowly it will start spreading. Like she said, Google or, put it out there, very difficult to find the right information because hundreds of things will show up when you search for something. And then the parent is confused, which one is the right thing to do. So I think more collaboratives or more CSR options, if we find maybe a large tech companies to say, just bring information, good information to be available in one place, then it makes it easier. So, but see, this kind of dialogue, make it happen. This kind of interactions will make it happen because more people will come forward to do those things. So it's a long way to go.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the time, and I would blame Minnie for having three or four of very enthusiastic people to talk about who will not stop talking.
Correct.
I have a quick point for you, Abhishek, for your question that you asked about what is a barrier.
Yeah.
I just want to make a point here. I mean, there is always, we talk about the social barrier, the economic barrier, all that. I mean, we have all said it. See, in the West, what happens is, like, for example, a particular county or a particular school has a set of devices as a part of their funding process. So there is something called as a feature match that we are able to do. If the child requires a particular, he can type, then I can look at a feature match for typing as a device, or just a core vocabulary device or whatever. There's something called as a feature match. Out here, because we have such limited options, one is some of them are free apps, which are again having limited features. Some of them are paid apps. They might have a lot of feature, but they are not financially viable for me, or whatever reasons. I'm not able to do a feature match also. So many a times it is my mindset. I think, like how Minnie said, you have a system, you would stick on to that system because you have a particular expectation from that. I have a particular system that I personally like, and I continue with that. I am not given the child or the family a choice of feature matching there. I think that itself becomes a barrier because many a times that system is not suitable for the child. And we have a down, we just collapse in between the program itself.
Absolutely.
I think feature match is something that I would say definitely now becomes a barrier for us.
Okay.
So that is the whole intention of bringing AAC conference, so that we can understand what our country requires. Getting all the heads together and talk on the platform and on different topics and subjects. So I think this is an entry point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, interesting new topics to discuss.
Now we spoke about like government policies or what all, generally we could do to promote awareness among the public. So this is for Preeja, ma'am. So beyond the government or just the public, what do you think the role of a speech therapist community here can be to promote awareness, not just for the individuals who need to use AAC, but for the general population also? How do you think like the entire speech therapist community could help in that?
I would start from the curriculum level. I think that is the entry point for all SLPs, where how do we introduce this whole topic of AAC to them? Because even now I see a lot of them. I would take the blame on me also in that process, because we being seniors in this field, we have still not been able to make that change. Most of them come out with the thought that the traditional approach should fail before we start AAC. This was when I started my career versus even now I'm in the same battle that we've been facing. That is number one. I can already see Abhishek smiling. Yes. So yes, so we take the responsibility of it, but we need to change that. And secondly, yes, I think awareness among other fraternities, especially people who refer children to us, like the medical fraternity of pediatrician, developmental pediatricians. And instead of assessing the speech skills, like most of the tools assess a speech skill, I would say a communication skill would be an important tool to make that change, I feel. Thirdly, I would say media. I think after some of these movies, like for example, Tare Zameen Pe, gave a whole highlight on dyslexia. Same way movies like say Barfi or My Name is Khan or Good Doctor on the OTP platforms. Some of these have got some highlight on autism, but I still see a lack of media attention on AAC. I think a single movie, like for example, if you remember the movie Khamoshi, built up a lot more information on sign language.
Yeah, yeah.
We need something like that on technology and communication board. And I think that might really create a lot of awareness. I think that is an easiest way to create an awareness. Apart from that, I think the boards that have changed the rule, like the CBSE, ICSE, or NIOS, has also gotten a little bit of attention from parents. Ki, yeah, my child can access education now because of these kind of adaptations or accommodations provided by the board. I think a little more. I don't think many parents know about it. So we are still fighting the battle that, it's only the 10th standard that we are going to look at, right? Right now, let us start with the speech part of it. And then we get a whole inflow of children who need a scribe and, who need the technology. And then we want to work on the clarity and all that. I think this needs to start very early so that we have better learning outcomes in children when we use AAC. So I think these three factors should be the core points that we need to start with. I mean, there are many more, but I would say these three things can really make a difference now.
So what you said is completely true, ma'am. And I feel that, especially like, when we talk about AAC, the first image that we think about will be Stephen Hawking's.
Yes.
So, and I think we people always look to the public to see an example. And if we can create an example through movies or shows, and I think that's something people all should see so that they can get an idea and understand, oh, this is something even I can try.
Yes. And Stephen Hawking, being a person with motor impairment, again, acceptability is very high. I am still struggling with acceptance in autism with an AAC. That is a bigger thing for us. Yes.
Absolutely. I think also the government bodies and the people who are forming the programs and the government programs, those people who are in the program making government policies, I think those people should include and make a team of specialized people who can help them make the right targeted population a program that will help these children. They have Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram, wherein they have screening, early intervention program includes screening of communication disorders and then provision of AAC also. But again, RBSK is not implemented in all states. And the program is not completely hardly few states are there where actually they are able to open DEICs and they are able to run that kind of a program. So the reach of the government also has to be there for the rural population and all the community to be addressed.
See, the RPD Act, the RPWD Act of 2016 very clearly states non-discrimination, accessibility, inclusive education. It is there in the law. If you look at the entire document, it's very, very nicely put together. But it is the responsibility of the state governments to come up with a plan, and how it is going to be. I don't know, maybe Tamil Nadu is more progressive now, but even in Karnataka, I'm not able to find anything, robust that has come out of the act and saying this is the policy we are going to have and these are the schemes that have come out of the act. It hasn't happened yet.
And even to be able to make best use of those schemes, we need disability certificate. Our parents get stuck at making a disability certificate.
Yes.
Forget about reaching for interventions.
Absolutely.
So our government really needs to gear up on these issues.
Yeah.
And I think insurance policies also needs to be a little more, embracing this kind of conditions, because the device is not covered under insurance. Leakage, which again, if you have an iOS system, I know many parents have given up, like how Minnie said, that I'm not going to repair it again and again. It is just not possible for me, and losing out on the data part of it, all that becomes cumbersome. So I wish a little bit of insurance coverage for therapy per se, because it is not, the end is not buying a device. The end is after the device, use of it in therapy.
Use of it becoming.
Or in special school. So school fees can get covered, but not the therapy charges. So that is more expensive, that needs to be covered by insurance.
Niramaya covers, isn't it?
Some therapy that.
Some of them, not everything.
Not-
And some,
Just
if not-
10,000 rupees per year,
Yeah.
which is hardly an amount for the
Wow,
parent.
yeah.
10,000 per year is what gets covered for therapies in Niramaya policy,
Correct.
and the rest is for health and other hospitalization. It's a
Hospitalization is covered.
policy, I think.
And I think government employees get around less than 200 rupees per session. And I don't think any of the
Any
centers
therapist is
have
not
therapy which is less than 200. So I think that itself is a gaping hole that we are facing at this moment.
So next panel discussion, Abhishek, call all the government officials and let's have a discussion with them.
We are ready, Abhishek.
Yes.
We
And
did
we
try.
also need private insurances, I think. We should have private insurance policies and insurances coming in place, which I always advocate that it may not be the government who can take the whole brunt of everything, but maybe private insurance companies, they can partially add some amount where they can use that amount like they do for having OPD consultation for just to support parallelly a bit out of pocket expense that parents are having in providing intervention. Maybe some healthcare policies that can support this area where of cost of intervention could be a big thing.
So actually, when we were trying to plan for this meeting, we actually tried to look for different people. So, but as we all know, this is the issue, like, who can I call? Like, who is the right person? So it took some time for us to, to find the right people. So we hope that in the next discussion, we can, find people in different sectors, and also in that way we can create the awareness also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can also have a person on the autism spectrum itself to come and talk about it. There are many
Sure.
people today, so.
So our last segment is actually covering that in this summit. The last segment where 4 children with autism are sharing their journeys.
Oh, super. Very nice.
So we have actually done some interviews. And we are going to get the information about them, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Nice. Awesome.
So we've reached the last question for this discussion. This entire discussion has been very informative. So I think you all have touched this. So I just want to go into a little detail about this. So how do you think we as healthcare providers and educators in trying to empower individuals with AAC, how do you think we can collaborate with government agencies to promote the use of AAC among individuals, or generally even with normal population? Because like when we promote individuals with speech and language difficulties to use AAC, like we say, it's a two-way communication, right? So whoever they talk to, they also have to either talk to them or type in their device. So how do you think we could collaborate with government agencies to promote this effective communication and use of AAC?
I would want Kalpana to answer this, because I think my reason is Chennai has been on top of this. When being a part of Vidyasagar, I'm still, from my heart, I'm still a Vidyasagari. And I would say the amount of effort the team puts there, even changing the railway station or accessibility, or I mean, I have no doubt Museum of Possibilities had to come in Chennai. There's no other place that can have it. So I think you can start what made the Chennai government change this, put this rule into place.
I think it is a lot to do with the visibility of AAC. We started, remember Preeja, many years back, even for small protests and all, we used to have students going in with AAC devices. Okay, street corner, there is a small role play, go with the AAC. So AAC had become so much that they didn't know, the government officials didn't know what is AAC. But they thought, okay, this person cannot speak, but they are using something. So that much was the equation. So from there, it became year after the year, getting our students to write, AAC users to write the exam, battling the fields, everything, whatever we did was in paper. So hundreds and thousands of people who are reading it started knowing about AAC, and somewhere along the government officials had to be, they had to answer, they had to do that. And slowly the things started. And when we had something called V-Access, that is Vidyasagar and Access, it is for, we have it for 2 days, once a year. And we call everybody, professionals from all fields to come in, and we have all sorts of assistive technology on display. So that we definitely will go and invite the, the disability department, welfare department to come in. We stand there, bring them in. And that is how it actually moved. When they see, they believe. And everywhere it is a person with, using an AAC, whether it is inviting them or giving a speech, everything is AAC, AAC, AAC. So that has become like, okay, there are many devices like that. And then slowly they started doing that. Then they invited us to, put up the same assistive technology in the general. We have this, once a year, there is a big, what we call an exhibition happening for the normal exhibitions, how you have. In that, they had asked us to put up a stall, which is a general public. And you have stalls for clothing, toys, everything. It's just a mela happening for 1 month. In that, one stall was put up on accessible home.
Wow.
That got people to
Attention. Yeah.
That ended in Museum of Possibility. So the journey is where what you want to promote, you need to promote. There is nothing about taking, there is no second. AAC is always there. It is the top priority. So the visibility, the students writing the exams, and of course, when some of the devices getting there, and then we, ask them, why can't they be given out?
Yeah.
Then they said, you become the person who will decide about it. How the government officials, they want someone to make the entire, write the proposal, tell them. So everywhere it has to go. Now I'm paneling the device manufacturers, getting them to give certification. Yes, that is hard work, has to be done by them.
Yeah.
But if
maybe government can provide some funding and reimbursement to the parents.
we don't
who are
even,
using-
we are not looking, as long as the devices are given to the students, we are happy. So that is
that will promote them actually. If they give some reimbursement to those who are using it, that will motivate a lot of set of people to use it for communication.
So right now we are at a stage where, the government definitely gets back to Vidyasagar on what are the devices to be given, how, whether it is matching, what is the assessment, who are to be given. So till there, that is a lot of work. It almost took, I think, 30 years to come to this level. And now the government has, our biggest achievement when the devices, communication devices had been given. At the first batch, 300 devices, then another 700 devices. And they've all gone to the different schools in the state. That made the whole difference. That it is, that means so many educators, so many parents have learned what this is. So that is a path we do. I don't know, hopefully.
I think, Kalpana, I think this story tells us it is not an impossible target.
No,
because
it is
Chennai
not.
has done it. Definitely, it is a matter of, as Abhishek used, barriers that we need to tackle. But this is a possibility that we can explore.
Yeah.
Also, we have to pitch one government against the other now.
It's actually easy.
You have to, you have to create that. You have to, because when they see that one government has done it, the others will get a little, because they all have, the chief secretaries and the secretaries of different states meet at a certain time, and they talk about it.
Yeah. And
so,
like you
to highlight,
when we set up the Museum of Possibilities,
Yeah.
but Goa commissioner came, and
Correct.
now he
He
wanted it
wants to
there.
do that, right? Yeah.
Like that,
Once you show them that it is possible, I
Yeah.
think it's easier for
Yeah.
them to do it. Because a
Yeah.
mind block that this is an impossible target
Correct.
stops them from trying it. I don't think it is a funding or other issues that is a
No,
priority.
it's not.
I think
Yeah.
it's not the mind block that needs to be sorted first.
See, one thing is we
Advocacy of, like, you are advocating of the
Yes.
achievement that you have made. So similarly, I think advocating and even success stories,
Yes.
children who have achieved success in using them, those advocacy can really help and motivate a lot of more
Sure.
people to indulge into it.
Like somebody mentioned a deep scheme in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So they have been giving out, all these wheelchairs and mobility assistant devices in AIDS and abundance of many years now. From I think, I don't know when it started, 1988 or something, or even earlier. If we are able to put something into that, see, it's very easy for government when they already have something in place to add on is not a difficult thing.
Yeah.
We must be smart enough to give the right, instrument and say, please put this in the, and this is how it will benefit.
I think
Like
the
you said,
problem,
it's a sustained thing. It's not a one-off thing. You have to keep doing it again.
but I think the problem here is it is not as simple as a use of wheelchair,
Yes,
which is
no.
a definite thing, or a hearing aid, which is fairly a definite thing. AAC is so diverse, and the
Diverse.
needs are so different, and
Correct.
then there is a lot of, again, feature matching becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It's not that simple to get into EDIP scheme or any other
Yes,
scheme.
any other scheme. Correct.
Again, we should explore some options. I'm sure when I think multiple heads think over it, I'm sure
Yeah.
we could come up with some solutions which is more practical,
At least a tab, even if they provide a tab, what goes into it, the teacher can customize or the parent can, but at least you'll have something to use. That is the thing. And she said visibility. See, you
Even
have to show.
sometimes private agencies like
Private agencies too. Yeah.
like Apple and Samsung and all these people who are making so much, they can also make it as a part of their CSR activity to provide those kinds of gadgets to the government school people and then train them simultaneously.
Again, it has to be the demand.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people demand, somebody will listen.
Yeah.
Someone.
As Kalpana ma'am is saying, whatever you think you need to do, keep promoting, endlessly keep promoting. If this is the idea which has to reach to the masses, the promotion has to happen day in and day out. Then only it's possible, because I have seen so many people doing a lot of good work, but in the end, nobody knows about it.
Yes.
And then what's the point?
There's a point.
Right? Yeah.
Makes it harder. Correct.
Yeah. By the way, Abhishek is the AAC coordinator of Play Talk. So
Okay.
anything you want, please attack him, catch him, whatever. He's supposed to take AAC to the masses. He's AAC coordinator.
Oh, super. Yeah.
I would love to get connected then.
With Abhishek,
Yeah.
correct.
Anytime.
We can, ma'am. So I think we have come to the end of the discussion. So it was a fruitful discussion. It was really interesting. We talked about different aspects about the barriers. We spoke about, the awareness. It was truly interesting. So, and I hope that it was interesting for all the listeners who've been listening to us. And this is just the starting. I think, we need to have another discussion with more people, so that we can create the awareness and start to the next step, level 2, and we can take it forward.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed because I met so many new people today. I've heard about them, but I've not met them. So it's been very enlightening. Thank you.
So we would like to thank you all for accepting our invitation and be part of such an informative discussion. And as Abhishek has said, this is just the beginning, and perhaps we can collaborate more to really take our ideas to the masses, those who really need it.
I would love to get connected with all of you all, because
Same here.
to spread that knowledge down south that you are practicing, replicated here in the northern part, because the awareness this part is far less on this, on the AAC availability, and for the parents also, the information is not there.
Definitely.
Thank you, Minnie. Thank you,
Yes,
PlayStreet
thank
team. I would say definitely, I think it's a need of the hour. I mean, it is never enough to talk about AAC. I think the last 20, 25 years that we have been talking, I think Kalpana more than that.
Yes.
I think there is a change. I think that
Yes.
keeps us positive, and definitely a system like this where, you know, you have picked up a topic like AAC on an autism
Right.
awareness. I think that itself shows how much of, you know, thought change has come into this process. So yes, I think we have just started this discussion, and I'm sure we have a lot more questions that have come up through this discussion, and we need to look for answers. But as a team, I think, like how Kalpana said, make it visible. I think
Yes.
we have started that visibility, at least in Bangalore, at least for that matter, I would say.
Yes, we should look for a museum of possibilities in Bangalore.
Yes, definitely.
We should push for it.
Yes.
Let's see. All right.
So proud to see that the Museum of Possibilities are done by some of the students of Vidyasagar.
Yeah.
Those kuttis now have become so big, and you know,
Yeah.
they have made something like that is
Amazing.
unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
a lot.
you so much,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you.
On behalf of PlayStreet, I would like to thank you all once again for having a very great informative discussion. And again, like Abhishek said, this is just a start. So we all hope to see you again. And for all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Please do stay tuned for our upcoming videos, and all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Bye. Bye.